What's up, family? It is Caden here with Urban Finance. I am excited about this conversation today. We are here live with Demetrius Chamblay, owner of Madam's Beauty Supply Shop, husband, father, book club founder, a book club that I am a proud member of, Black Business Ambassador, Investor 2020 advocate, and all around good brother. So, Demetrius, can you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on. Thank you for being a live participant in our book club. It was funny how we met. We met through YouTube, and I say, look, I tell people, I don't care what opportunity you got, take advantage of it. And I remember I seen a video of you talking about the 5 books I believe that we all need to have read before. And I just typed in the comment, listen, connect with me on Facebook, and you reached out. So man, always cash on that opportunity. You don't know what that can bring forth. But I'm Demetrius Chamblay. I'm from Hartford, Connecticut. Shout out to my peoples in Hartford. I grew up in Hartford. I am a homeowner in Hartford, and I established my business in Hartford. So I'm a husband, father, love community building. I'm somebody who's involved with I take pride in group economics. I take pride in accomplishing things as a group. There's many individual accolades I can talk about, but I take pride in those group things. And many of the group things that we have started, it derived from the Nguzu Saba principles, you know, the Umoja, Ujima, Kujijakalia, Nia, Koumba, Imani, Ujama. So those are the principles that we stand by. And I think that's something that that's our culture. And if we have that as our culture base, that's our roots. And if we can, resort back to our roots, I think we'll be good. So thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's truly my honor. And so we're going to be talking to Demetrius today about how he started a successful beauty supply business, as well as how to be a successful business owner in general. Because you may want to go into the beauty supply industry, but if you don't, these same secrets, tips, suggestions can help you with whatever type of business you have. And so this is just not for someone who wants to go into the beauty supply industry. This is for someone who wants to start a successful business in general. And so, Demetrius, can you just tell us what inspired you to start a beauty supply shop?
Okay, so what inspired? That's a good question. What inspired us to start this beauty supply store? Right, many times, and I got to be honest with thinking about the beauty supply store. That wasn't our first initial idea. We come like everybody else who wants to pursue entrepreneurship. We didn't have a business idea that we wanted to go into, so we just knew that we wanted to start a business. So I think that's the first base. We wanted to start a business, and now you go to, okay, what type of business do you actually want to start? And that's when my expertise of being involved in business before, being a production and operation manager for many, many years comes into play. So as you know, brother Caden, I'm an avid reader, and there were some books, and I'll share a couple of them with the audience. So this is one here, The Goal, that you definitely want to get, that helped me. The E-Myth is a couple terms that I'll speak on as well. And then also, last but not least, one that I always go back to is Good to Great. So these are some books that have established my my recipe in order to open up a business. So what we did, right, in the E-Myth, it talks about entrepreneurs and it talks about technicians. I'm more of the entrepreneur. I'm the manager, and I'm the finance guy of the business. So I go in depth in terms of personal finance, business credit, personal credit. And so what that did was that allowed me and my wife to create roles in the sort of business that we wanted to create. So since I have expertise in finances, and my wife, she is a master technician. She has a clear communication when it comes to all the beauty products, and she's constantly learning more. But she's also a licensed cosmetologist. And she was a teacher in a cosmetology school where she helped obviously the students be able to gain their accreditation and be able to get their license into the cosmetology. So this was specifically a business that we wanted to actually get into, and we felt like we could actually leave an imprint on. But this was strategically made in the Good to Great book. It talks about before you get to moving. A lot of times we get into business and we just want to get it and just start running and going. And in Good to Great, it talks about you want to get the right people on the bus, and then after you get the right people on the bus, put them in the right seat. So I was put in the finance seat. My wife was put in the technician seat. And then we had some other things that we kind of figured out what roles best fit us. And then that's when we got the bus rolling. That's when the wheels started to roll. And so that's what it took to open up a business. I would say read. In our community, we don't come from a long list of people who have been entrepreneurs and open up their business. But I tell you, a mind is a weapon, and I've been able to actually gain so many jewels, so many gems from these books that I've read. And I talk about this lately, a term I call it the rate of your AK, and the rate of your AK is your applied knowledge. So a lot of people are reading, but they're not applying. So I term and I want to ask people, what is your rate of your AK, the rate of your applied knowledge? How quickly are you taking that information out of the book and inputting it into your family, into your community, and to your business? And I come from a long list of, my grandmother, she was a cosmetologist. My sister, she was a cosmetologist into the beauty care. So I grew up around cosmetology, so it was like second nature.
No, I think that's absolutely beautiful, man. One of the things that I was smiling because anytime my brother's like, me and my queen got together and put our strengths together to figure out what's the best for our move for our family, that just lights me up inside, man. And and this may be another conversation, but I just love the image of you as a Black father out there, as a Black husband out there, and how you can see your love for your family, but how you also build with your entire family, including your children. And so kudos to you and your queen for coming together and really deciding, okay, what are some things that we are great in, what's some of the things that we have some family history expertise in, and how can we turn that into a business for our family. So I think that that's an absolute beautiful thing. And so, Demetrius, I know you are familiar with Dr. Claude Anderson because we read Powernomics as part of the book club, and we've probably both experienced his work before that. I know Powernomics is a book I'll probably say that I've probably read about 5 times. Yeah, and it's an amazing book. I probably read it like 5 times, probably every year since I was first introduced to that book in 2014.
If I can say something,
go ahead.
What's funny, right? With Powernomics and The Godfather, Dr. Claude Anderson, The Godfather Economics. I've read this book so much, right? It's funny. I actually have to get another one because if you look at this book, right, you see it has come out of the actual book. So now it's just like in the pieces. I use this as almost like a Bible and a resource when it comes to economics. So many jewels in there. But again, it goes back to, are you applying those principles? But yes.
Nice. I mean, if you're in the audience, just go ahead and smash the like button. Feel free to share the video. That helps to get this message out there. So like I was saying, so in Powernomics, how important is it for Black people to control and sell products that they consume? So that was one of the big things Dr. Claude Anderson talked about, trying to find a business that your community already consume those products. And so, this is a 2-part question. One, were you familiar with Dr. Claude Anderson concept there going into business? And 2, did that play a role? What do you think is an importance of that, selling a product that your community also consumes?
Great question. And yes, I'm gonna tie both of them in together because they both correlate. So the part of being strategic, right? Sitting down and create your business plan. It don't have to be an extensive business plan, but it's very important because once you start to, I say, once you, you know, whatever you measure, you're able to manage. And if you create that business plan, you're able to manage, okay, what kind of funds you're going to need, what type of my community, if you want to put this business in a certain community, what does this community need? What do they actually use? So one of the things we wanted to do was we said, okay, we got our strengths, we got our weaknesses, what we're good at. Okay, what does our community use and that we are not business owners at? And the beauty supply industry was something that we dominated as far as being customers, but we didn't dominate when we come to being owners. And we thought that this would be a perfect opportunity for us to present ourselves and to put this business smack into the community. The store name is Madam's Beauty Supply, paying homage to Madam C.J. Walker. So even the name is intentional. So yeah, so entrepreneurship was very, very important. And this is something, like I said, we spend money in every single day, but that money doesn't circulate back. So in terms of Dr. Claude Anderson, what he talks about is basically controlling the controllables and controlling what we actually use on a major scale. So if we're able to do that, we're able to corner the trade market. We're able to corner the trade market, and it promotes group economics. You have technology stepping in. You have AI that's stepping in, things that's taking over. But guess what? You're still gonna need to get your hair done. And no robots is coming soon to do your hair. You know what I mean? You know, when it comes to restaurants is a big thing as well. We thought about going into that industry too. Very difficult industry to get into, but we thought about that too. Restaurants, people want to be able to grab their food within 5 to 10 minutes close in their community. Those are areas that we can dominate, and we can dominate for years and be able to give our children's job. I know me and you, we love Kwame Ture, and you know, we talk about, you know, not having to send our children out to other communities to beg for a job. If we actually support the businesses inside of our community,
come on, brother.
Our kids, our children can come back to the community, even from college. It talks about that in Powernomics. We haven't did such a great job at creating these industries so that when our children go to college, they can come back with that information and say, you know what, Pops, you know what, Mom, I got the information to be able to take this to a higher scale. And we have to do a great job. Support your local businesses. Buy Black, shop Black, support Black.
No, that's beautiful, man. And you know, it lights me up when you start bringing our children in there. And because I always tell people, people always ask me, especially some may know, some may not know, but my quote unquote profession, I'm an associate pastor. That's what I do for full time in ministry. And you always get question of why do you put such a high priority on financial literacy or money, some may say. And I've never put a high priority on money, but I've always thought about the future of my son, who I now have, even before he was born, what type of life I wanted him to live. And I know with God is the first thing, but also having that foundation, a financial foundation, that he doesn't have to go anywhere else and beg for anything, was super important to me. And so I'm gonna move on from that before I go on some extreme tangents right now. And if you're watching live, let me know in the comment section where you're watching from. Feel free to shout out your city and state. I'll throw it up on the screen and give you a shout out as well. But Demetrius, can you tell us what is the secret to running a successful business in general?
Okay, the secret to running a successful business is understanding that it's actually a business. That's very, very important. In the E-Myth, right, it says a quote, and I love this quote. It states that most of the time you walk into a business inside of the community, it's not a business. You're actually not walking into a business. You're walking into a sort of establishment where the owner or owners have actually created a job for themselves. It's actually not a business. It's a job that they've created for themselves. And if they happen to actually, the owner was to walk out the door, that business would actually stop. So that's not a business. That's somebody who created a job for themselves. A business is something that actually can keep going. It can keep operating, and you create systems so that that business can stay afloat. This is a system that you create for your nieces, your nephews, your children, the people in your community to be able to follow when you're not here, or you want to take on different endeavors. But that goes to the mindset of nation building for ourselves. If we continue to have this individualistic mentality where it's about me, it's just about me accumulating wealth, it's just about me starting a business, and if I wasn't here for this business would actually fold. That's the wrong statement to have. That shows right there that you're not where you want to be in terms of business, not yet. And it's not a business. It's something that you created a job for yourself. So that's the goal. You know, you want to actually create a business and start to research these things and to see what ticks and network with people inside of your community, network with people outside of your community who have been in business for years and has been successful. Success leaves clues. So you want to start to ask them, what are some tips, what are some gems that I can actually incorporate into my business that can keep things running. When we first started, in order to open up our beauty supply store specifically, there was a group. And if anybody looking to open up a beauty supply store, there's a group that's called Black-owned beauty supply stores that's on Facebook. It was shout out to them. They were very, very essential and useful for us actually expanding, us opening up a business. I was able to reach out and network with the lady who owned a beauty supply store down south. And we would talk on the phone, and she would help me. She would say, "Look, brother, I want to see you be successful. Here's a vendors list. Here's a couple people who I actually work with. Here's how you want to actually market certain things. Here's how you want to price certain products." And if you don't have that information, it's very hard for you to actually succeed. It's already hard enough for Black entrepreneurs to actually get into the game from the start. So we need that group, that Ujima, that Ujama collective spirit to be able to help one another.
And that's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. You just dropped so many nuggets just now. Shout out to Bernie. Shout out to Bernie. Shout out to Don. Don says all facts and good networking will enhance any business. And that is so true. One of the things that what you said about did you create a business or a job made me think about was another quote that I read about, African Americans going into business. They said white people go into business to make money. Black people go into business to be the boss. And, it's that difference in mindsets will determine if your business actually becomes profitable about that. And so, thank you for those nuggets. And so can you go through in like an almost step-by-step process how you went about starting a beauty supply shop, or how you would recommend starting a beauty supply shop? I know you gave that one nugget about that group that you joined to kind of get information, but can you go through a 1, 2, 3, 4? Like these are the steps that someone would take to actually set up a shop for themselves?
Right. So this is it's a loaded question, and I'm going to try to answer it the best that I can. And the reason why I say it's a loaded question, because in business, right, and shout out to Malik Champlain, Mr. Passion Hunger Drive himself. He's been talking with me to kind of like actually put this in a book or in a seminar, because within a business, you have different positions that you actually have to take on. So as I said, that as far as me taking on the accountant role, the financing role, that's a whole spectrum within itself, right? And that's usually one of the questions that people have. How can I finance this? I have a great dream. I have a great goal that I want to actually open up this actual store, but how do I finance it? And then, you have other roles inside: the technician, the customer service. Do you actually know the products that you're actually selling? How do you deal with distributors? Those are all facets of opening up a business. So the first thing you want to do, right? You got to have a why. And I know it sounds cliche, but you have to have a why of the reason you're opening up your business. You got to have some passion and some grit as far as, because it's going to get tough. It's going to get very, very difficult. And if you don't have a why, if you don't have a passion for it, it's going to outdo you. You're going to you're not going to be able to finish the race. And if you don't have that, good luck. You might as well not even get into the game. So if your why, right? My why is my community. My why is my children. And that keeps me motivated every single day. So that gets me up and grinding and keep wanting to innovate and keep wanting to change and diversify my portfolio. So your why is the first thing. Why are you getting into business? Because like I said, when things get tough, we don't want you to quit, and that passion will keep you going. Now the second thing is, if you don't have what you do personally is a great indicator of what you'll do as a business owner. And that's why when you go into establish business credit, when you go and to establish these networking and these business opportunities, they want to see what have you done personally. Because if you have done and been successful personally, it's a great indicator that you'll be able to do well as a business owner. And, you know, we have failed on many levels personally. We have to actually get down to the root of why we failed personally before we go in and we want to create marriages, and we haven't got ourselves right. We want to create business partnership and group investment clubs, and we ain't right.
Don't hurt no feelings, Demetrius. Don't hurt no feelings.
So before you get into you're doing your partner in marriage a disservice. You're doing the people in your group a disservice, your congregation, your community a disservice if you don't actually search deep down inside and start taking accountability for your failures in life. So if you don't get right personally, don't even think of going into business. Don't even think about partnering up. So that's another key point. And then now, once we get right personally, you want to start talking. You want to create your business plan. Your business plan will put everything in sequence of some of the things that you'll have to face when it comes to marketing, who you'll be marketing towards, your sales projection, different positions you'll have to hire for in your business, and financials, what you're going to need financially. So one of my expertise is in finances. And as I said, what you do personally directly reflects what you do as a business owner. I am what we talk about, right? I'm in the 800 credit club. So within the 800 credit club, you know, you are, and you don't have to be in 800. You could be in a high 700. But in that, when you have a high credit scores, it builds a relationship with people. When they see you have a high 700, high 800 credit score, they say, look, you know what? I'm willing to work with this guy. This guy obviously, this queen obviously has done something well personally, and like I said, which is a great indicator as far as business. So then we can start to look at finances. When we look at the business finances, if your personal credit score is great, if we can start looking into building your personal credit score, and then your business score will be your business credit score will be able to take off, and your finances, you won't have a problem when it comes to finances. The problem, right? And this is something right now that we're talking about, and you're seeing a lot through media. You're seeing people talking about 800 credit scores. You know, I can help you get your credit up and everything. But what happens is when you receive that high status, you don't know how to act. You don't know how to act. You have gained and allocated these resources, and now you don't know how to distribute. So now this is the second tier. So now our community is starting to bring our credit scores up. And now as we increase our credit scores, we need to become masters of allocations of funds. This is nonprofit, for-profit, for your family, individual budget, in all of these different spaces. So now we have to allocate the funds correctly, and your business plan will be able to show you that. And now it comes to file for your LLC. Right? File for your LLC. You want to, if you can, I did. You don't have to do it, but I met with a lawyer. I met with a lawyer. I signed on a CPA because these are some of those positions, right, that we went through in our business plan. And I said that I can't work because I actually work a W-2. I work 40 plus hours a week as well.
Wow.
And I
So I don't want to just jump over that, because I think, sometimes people want to go into business and they feel like, okay, I'm going to go into business and just bump whatever my W-2 job is. But you decided to go a different route. You started your business and kept a full-time job. Now that's some serious grind there. Can you talk a little bit more about that, the mentality behind that, why you chose to go that route?
Mhm. Diversification. Diversification is very, very important. And me being it's funny, we're reading a book called Black Woman, Black Love. And our moderator this month, Minnie, she mentioned the head of household term. And, as far as being, sort of a head of household, if you would say, you have to be a master of allocating and diversification. So I always tell people, you want to, before you jump off that dock, you want to get that boat close. You know what I mean? I'm not the greatest swimmer. So you want to get that boat close to that dock. A lot of us is going ahead and we're just jumping off the dock. We can't swim. We can't float. We don't know how to hold our breath. We're not in shape. And, we just jumping off the dock. No, you want to make sure, keep working your W-2s, right? You want to keep working your W-2, work your 40 hours a week. And if you can partner with somebody, the best partner to have is your spouse. Shout out to my queen, Latoya. The best partner can be your spouse. And if you have some other close family that you can actually trust, partner up with them. But do not let your W-2 go too quickly. Bring that boat close to the dock so that way you'll have leverage. So 80% of the small businesses that open, especially in our community, they fail. And, to go back to the E-Myth, right? 80% of franchises actually succeed. And the reason why there's systems put in place. We don't have any systems that's put in place when it comes to actually operating our business. Keep your W-2s, keep working your 40 hours and plan it out. We got to stop winging stuff. We are the masters of winging dreams and winging businesses. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked at all. So we have to become more smart. We have to become more articulate, and we have to become, resources. And when it comes to applying knowledge and networking with people, so that entrepreneurs, one of the things that Warren Buffett talked about is that what entrepreneurs do is they actually mitigate risk very well. We talk about entrepreneurs and we think just, hey, they just going to leap. They just going to take the jump and just do what they got to do. No, he said entrepreneurs are masters of mitigating risk. So what they do, right? My mitigating risk was reading all of these books and taking this information and being able to apply it, because that's the reason why we have been able to stay in business as long as we can.
No, that's beautiful. So if you're in the audience and you have any questions for Demetrius Chamblay, just let me know, whether it's on starting a successful beauty supply store or running a successful business in general. If you have a question, let me know. And again, thank you again for watching and sharing and liking so that YouTube distributes this out to others. And so, Demetrius,
let me say this real quick too. Because sometimes what we do, right, we do, and I speak specifically to our community, what we do is we try to, we have this defeatist mindset, and we try to create this separation to say, Caden was able to be successful in this because you know what? He had his mom and his dad. He had these resources. Somebody taught him this or whatever. I come from very, very grounded beginnings, and I'm going to actually be releasing my book in the first quarter of next year. And it's called Incarceration to Graduation. So, and they'll be talking about graduating in all different facets, not just academics, but in business, graduating, I feel, as a father too. But I come from a difficult, very, very difficult past. So don't think no matter where you're at right now, you can actually be successful. It doesn't matter where you come from. So I wanted to just put that out there.
Yeah, you look like a polished brother now, and I know a bit of your story of where you came from too. And it's, there's this saying with church folks, I don't look like what I've been through. And I could certainly say that about you. You don't look like what you've been through. And that I feel like he was trying to keep some nuggets so people go buy the book. So I won't say too much.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to ask you, and this may be a bit of a little more personal in the dollars type of thing, and also for your W-2 job, I'll frame it in a certain way. At what point financially, and I wouldn't even say with just Madam's Beauty Supply, because I know you're someone that believes in multiple streams of income. I guess where would you need to go or get to feel comfortable of leaving that W-2 job? Not saying that you will leave, but like at a place where, okay, now I'm at a place where I feel like I can leave that if I wanted to. What does that look like for you?
That's an amazing question. I've never had anybody ask me that yet on these interviews. So very, very great question. And your motivation for me, because I know you went through this process as well. So when I look at your story, it gives me a lot of motivation. So what does that look like for me? Honestly, the job that I do is very, very, I would say I'm taken care of very, very well. So I don't see myself leaving there, very soon. But I would say in order for me to be able to do that, I would go back to what you originally asked me, like where, like, who am I? Where am I from? So I'm from Hartford, right? I live in Hartford. My business is established in Hartford. So I could have easily, honestly, moved out of my city where I grew up at and be able to, afford the expense and everything. But I stayed in my community. And the reason why, if you read another book, Jim, The Millionaire Next Door, right? The Millionaire Next Door has a lot of jewels in there. Yes. And what I've done is my expenses are very, very low. I'm satisfied. I'm comfortable within my community. So in order for me to leave, I could actually probably leave very, very soon, but I haven't created a plan yet. I haven't created an exit plan that I'll be working on. But two of my goals, right? One of my goals is to actually have 2 very successful businesses. And I'm going to say it again, a business, not a job, not a job. This is businesses where me and my wife can step away from, right? And we can take our trip to Africa and the business still operates. So my goal is to have 2 successful businesses. And I also want to get into real estate. So I want to have a couple multifamily properties where I can be able to start to cash flow. And that's going to be my goals within the next year or 2. And as I said, I'll be dropping a book the first quarter of next year. And that's going to be fun as well. So diversifying my portfolio, that's what I'm working on, and which will ultimately lead to me being able to leave my W-2.
No, that's beautiful, man. Because even as I think of my life and all of the things that I do that, put in either income or passive income, and I was really thinking about that question, am I starting businesses or jobs? And I noticed that I have about 3 to 4 side hustles right now that I'm doing, but they're all really jobs because I can't just transition any of them to someone else, even if they pay a passive income right now. And so one of the questions I'll probably be asking myself is, when will I be able to do that and what that looks like? And so I thank you for that question, because, it's kind of allows us to think about it a little differently. Do you have a job, or are you creating a job for yourself, or are you creating a business for yourself? And if you are creating a job, if you do want a business, how do you transition that job from a business to a business? So thank you for those nuggets, because even right now I feel like it's okay that it's a job, because I'm out in Tennessee with my family from now, but I'm still doing interviews. 1, because I love this stuff, but also 2, because if I don't do it, it doesn't get done, Right. And so are you creating a business or a job? And I think it's fine to do a job that you love. Similar to you, I always tell my wife, I'll never retire, because everything I do is things that I absolutely love. And I did had a W-2 job, another W-2 job that I did retire from that paid me a lot more, but I don't need the money like you mentioned, because
Mhm.
one, I planned ahead and also reduce my expenses so much that I can live a very, very comfortable life with the income streams that I have now. And so that's another beautiful, beautiful thing, man. So thank you for those nuggets. I know we're coming very, very close to the end of this segment on time. And like I said before, I'll definitely have you back on the show because there's so much I want to talk about from creating multiple streams of income. That's one thing that I really want to get really in depth with you about, how you went about creating the several streams of incomes that you do have, including a business.
And just to speak on what you just talked about, we have to, our culture is deeply rooted in collective work. And,
mm,
that's somebody else's culture. That's the European culture to pride themselves in individualism. That's not our culture. So when it comes to, especially, I'm speaking just for Black men, we have to get out of that selfish mentality, right? One of the selfish things we
mm,
can do as men who have children, men who has family, is not have life insurance. So
mm,
that's one. That's an easy one, right? Another thing too is we're not creating jobs for our children to be able to work at. So we
mm,
need to start to create these businesses so that we can be able to give our children these jobs and we can create this lineage. And that comes from a selfish mentality. I take pride into saying, even at my W-2, at my 40 hours a week job, that if I was to step away and take vacation for a week, my guys, my operators are able to sit there and let the business still operate the same way it's supposed to operate with me being gone. I take pride in that. You have people who actually say, you know what, when they step away, they want it to be chaotic. So people can say, oh, you know
mm.
what, we really missed you, man. We gotta have you back. They're calling you up. No, I don't want no calls on my vacation. I want to come back and for everybody to say, you know what, you did a great job at training your
Mm.
guys, man. You have a fine oil well machine that when you step away, you know what I mean, this thing just keep running. And so that's a different mentality. And you want to do that. You want to be able to set that up with your home as well.
No, and I love what you said about the community aspect. About our community is one that historically pride ourselves, and I can do this by ourselves, but it's about that collective nature. On our website, theurbanfinance.com, the main quote that we have to say that this is what we are about is the African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And that whole aspect of when we travel as a community, that's how we make life changes, for not for ourselves, but for our entire community. And so that's probably another thing that I'll probably bring you back to talk about. There's so many nuggets. And so, and I know we touched upon this, but how does being a business owner makes a difference for you as a parent? Like, what does that mean? What does that feel like as a parent to also be a business owner?
I honestly, I'm looking at sort of my goals. I'm looking at sort of the people who I look at as my Jeglers, the people who, the warriors who have passed on. I'm looking at as, look, this is just something that I have to do. What Dr. Claude Anderson talks about in Powernomics, right? We have to set up sort of these industries. We have to set up these businesses. So I'm just working, doing what I got to do. Like, for an example, my grandfather, I grew up with my grandfather, and, he was just doing his fatherhood thing, but just doing what he was supposed to do. He wasn't getting any awards or anything like that. Say, hey, you're a black guy. He was just doing exactly what he had to do. But now, as I grew up, I appreciate what he actually taught me. I appreciate that sort of that rites of passage that he actually gave me, and I started to see it then. So many of the seeds that we actually plant today, our children and our community will only be able to see those later down the years. And many of the privileges and the opportunities that me and you get, those were seeds planted by our ancestors, and we're just harvesting that and being the benefits of the fruits of their labor. So we have to continually do the same.
Awesome, awesome. Well, so we'll close out with this final question and just having you give your final thoughts. But I want to give you the opportunity to promote your business, promote anything that you're doing, your books, shout out anyone else that you want to shout out. Because I know you're big on promoting Black businesses and things of that nature. And so just let you have the floor at this
Definitely.
time.
So shout out to, as far as come by and stop by, and thank you, brother. Thank you for not only does Caden participate in the book club, check out his YouTube channels where she put these books, right? I always say, right, this is funny. Like me and Caden, we read these books, right? But it's our job to actually really put these books in sort of a small summary, so that you can be able to eat. All right, so we're going to put these 500 pages in 5 bullet points. And that's what Caden does in some of his channels. And I think it's beautiful to check out his channel. But shout out to our business, Manos Beauty Supply. It's located 1390 Street. That's Hartford, Connecticut, 06106. Thank you, brother, for actually calling in. And Caden has supported us and bought products from us as well. So shout out to you. Shout out to people in my community. But we've had people from all over call us and say, hey, we want to support you. And me being a community guy and thinking about Ujima and Ujamaa, I always recommend, right, where you're at, I would tell you, support your local Black-owned beauty supply store before you support me. Those are the businesses that's in your community. That's my responsibility and my Ujima to my brothers and my queens that's out there. Support your local Black-owned businesses. Support your local Black-owned beauty supply stores. We have things where our women are being brutalized. Our women have had chemicals splashed on them, hit with brooms inside of these other businesses where we are not the owners. And we can't keep complaining about it if we don't actually support the businesses that we actually have. We wouldn't have to go to those businesses if we actually supported the businesses that was inside of our community. So one of the things we have, and that's a segue to 2020, to whom you give your money, you give your power. And we want to empower our people within inside of our community. So 2020, that's just 20 people getting together with $20 each. And we all pick up Black-owned business that we all go and support at the same time. And you can do this in any city, any state. And that's something that we have done in different states and different cities as well. Like I said, I'll be dropping my book in the first quarter of next year. I'll be doing sort of like an Indiegogo campaign just for people to be able to support or possibly get their name in the book. So I'll post that link to this live once I get that up and running. So definitely stop by there, check out that link to support the book. Other than that, follow me on Facebook. It's my name, Demetrius Chamblee, and Facebook. And just follow me and you'll be able to stay in tune with not only what I'm doing, but what we're doing in the actual community. So thank you, brother, for having me on.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you again, Demetrius. And like I said, I love the work that you're doing as a business owner. I love the work that you're doing as a husband, family, and a community. Just an all-around amazing brother. Thank you to everyone that is watching this live and to everyone that will watch this live, because I'm someone that totally understand. Some people may watch this because they want to start a business, and that's amazing. Thank you, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, share. And some people may be watching just because they may want to support either you or myself who are on this. And so we just thank the community that we've been able to build and continue to build. I would just like you to speak on in the last 30 seconds that we have, if someone wants to start a 2020 in their city, how would they go about doing that?
So and what I was going to say too, if you want to contact me when it comes to starting any business, when it comes to starting a beauty supply store, when it comes to starting a 2020 in your community, contact me at any time. I'm easily accessible. Just contact me and I could be able to give you sort of the foundation and the procedures and systems in order to make this thing successful. But the 2020 is very simple. I mean, first thing you do is you get as many family members as you can together and just say, hey, you know, we want to go and support a Black-owned business together in order to give them an economic, financial support, giving them their own stimulus package. And then you move to your closest friends and the people within the community to go out and support it. And you blast it. You be a marketing for that business and blast it out. Tell people how great the service was. Tell people how great the food was, and stay in communication with the actual business owner as well. So just get everybody together, and it shows that camaraderie. It shows that community spirit, that Kwanzaa spirit that we need to be showing throughout the actual year.
All right. Thank you again, Demetrius. And thank you to everyone out there.